Print and cut is without a doubt one of the number one top features of Silhouette Studio. And it's one of the number one reasons that people buy a Cameo. They want to make stickers, they want to make labels, cards, tags, all kinds of things with print and cut. So this is a really important lesson, and this little heat transfer vinyl is a great way to get people started. There's also a lot of confusion around heat transfer vinyl. I'm sorry, about heat transfer paper. People call it printable heat transfer, and it's not like your heat transfer vinyl, but it is a heat transfer printable paper. And I talk a little bit more about that in the lesson. Now, the designs that I've given you in this lesson are from the Silhouette Design Store, and I have permission to give those to you for the licensing from Silhouette. However, when you teach this class, you're going to have to direct your students to purchase and download these designs in the Silhouette Design Store. One of them is no longer available, and I believe that is the giraffe, which is unfortunate because he's really cute. But you could direct them to another design that they could use. Now, I have combined these designs for you in the download that you have for this class. But what you will do with your students is teach them how to import and merge and bring all of those designs into a page. Now, I want to go over a few things about print and cut. So let me switch to the screen capture of the software. So we're going to talk about basics of print and cut there. Here we are in the software, and the first thing we're going to do is come over to the design page panel. And we're going to select our machine, whatever machine your students are using, the mat, and the media size. Now, for most print and cut, you're going to be using letter because that's the size of their cardstock. It's possible they're using 12 by 12 cardstock, but for stickers or this heat transfer paper, they're going to be using a letter size. The next thing I want you to do is right down here where it says print and cut borders, you want to select print border and show cut border. This helps your students stay within the parameters of what they need to do. Now, the next thing you're going to do is come over and turn on your registration marks. You can do that here in the third tab of the page setup panel by just simply clicking on, or you can use the keyboard shortcut, the letter M. Just the letter M, but then you have to go back and turn on your print and your cut borders. All right. So either way, you can use that keyboard shortcut M to turn on the registration marks or turn them off. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about here for the print and cut is adjusting or not adjusting, as it may be, these registration marks. People like to move this inset out as far as possible, which is right there, as opposed to the defaults. Here's the default. And they like to move it out to this point so that they could get another 1/4 inch of sticker paper. However, that can sometimes cause problems. So I always encourage my students, and I do it myself, I just leave it on the defaults. Always click on Restore Defaults. I want you to look and see how little, let me go ahead and make that small again. Look at the minimal amount of paper that it makes a difference in. It really is probably less than 1/4 of an inch on each side. And the same thing applies to your the size of your registration marks. You don't want to adjust the position or the size. Just simply use the default settings in order to be the most successful. People, like I said, they like to use that extra little bit, but it's just not worth it because you could end up losing a lot of sticker paper or cardstock if it doesn't cut correctly. All right, so at this point, I want to bring in some designs, and these are all print and cut designs, and you're going to recognize these, well, you will when you do the class, that these are ones that we have used in class. So let me just go ahead and bring in a few of these others. So I'm going to start with this little turtle, and we have him here. Now, you're going to notice that he has a background to him. Sometimes print and cut designs do, and sometimes they have a transparent background, and that's fine. Just be aware that if you're using this, you want to um, make sure that when you load another design, so for example, let's put, I don't know, we'll put this beach duck here, and if I bring him over here, he also has a white background. So let me just zoom these down. Now, I couldn't put these too close together. I would, if I send this one to the back, the white of the turtle overlaps the little duck here. So be aware of those backgrounds when you're placing your designs. You could trace and detach them from the background if you wanted to. Now, the other thing is you definitely don't want to get anything up here in this area of the hatch marks or down here. That area is what the electronic eye uses to read the registration marks. And technically, you can put it up here, but I usually don't. I just feel like if you're having problems cutting, just move it out of that area and just save yourself the aggravation. And again, it does take up a little more paper, but it's really not that much. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but see when I move him over closer, the white of the turtle overlaps my duck. So you have to be aware of that when your print and cut designs don't have a transparent background. So let's see if I can pick a few more here. Maybe we'll do this one here. This one also, I'm trying to find one that does not have that has a transparent background, but it looks like most of these do. And you'll also notice here that this elephant is ungrouped from the cut line. So let's go back. And I will get my duck out of the way. I would select my elephant and the background, and I would group together. Now, if you want to eliminate those backgrounds, you certainly can. You could come over here to the trace panel, select the trace area, go around like this. You're going to increase your threshold until just about everything turns yellow. And then down here at the bottom, let me collapse this panel, you're going to say trace and detach. And it's going to take a minute for this. It processes. There's a lot of data there to process. But now you're going to see that that background has been detached from the design, and you have your little elephant here without a background, and he has a cut line around the edge. Okay, so if that is a problem for you or some of your students, just be aware that that's a way that you can get rid of that background from your images. So there are a lot of print and cut designs in the Silhouette Design store, and you can certainly find tons of pretty ones. I keep looking for one that may come in with a transparent background. So here's an example, one more, and the difference with this one is it has an offset. It does have a transparent background. Let me go ahead and move these out of the way. And these are some older designs, so it's very possible that's why they do not have the transparent background. But if you come over here, you'll see we don't have that on this one, but it does have an offset. And quite honestly, I like to cut my designs, my print and cut, with an offset, because in the chance that it doesn't cut perfectly, for example, like on this little elephant, it's going to, if it doesn't cut perfectly, it's going to be obvious. But here, because there is a little bit of an offset around it, you can get away with a little inaccuracy in your print and cut. So keep that in mind. So if you wanted to do that, you would simply ungroup your elephant here. We go ahead and delete that cut line. Come over to your offset panel and say offset. Now, generally, I don't do one quite this big, maybe 0.07, and I would apply, just like that. And then I would select these two and group them together. Now, when you go to the send panel, you're going to see Well, you've got a cut line around your elephant as well. So, because that's from where we detached it. So let me ungroup these. And I'm going to select my elephant, go to the send panel, and say no cut. All right, and we're going to go back here and group these together. I'm not going to get into this too much because in the next lesson, I go over a lot of this in creating your designs from PNG files. But this is just a little overview of print and cut if you are new to print and cut, if you're having some trouble with print and cut. So here are my tips. First of all, restore the defaults on your registration marks. In this panel right here, click on Restore Defaults. You know, you don't want to go down in here into your advanced options. Do not let your students do this and adjust these. We're going to close that up and restore defaults. That restores the inset or the position of your registration marks. You want to stay away from the hatch mark areas. You want to avoid any getting even, I'm trying to bring this over here, too close to the hatch marks. And I would even recommend not putting designs up here in this area. And one other little thing that you can do if you or your students are having trouble with your registration marks, you can select all of your designs. We've got a little bit of debris here from where I traced that, but don't worry about it. And you can group them all together. So sometimes when you do that, that helps as well with your registration. All right, so that's just a little overview. Make sure you post if you have any questions. And let's head on and do our print and cut heat transfer paper on the little onesie, as well as in the next, I think it's on the next day, we're going to do creating your own print and cut from PNG files.